Maybe that's the valor that he displayed. Maybe that's the hairy situations in combat. Maybe that's where he's talking about the smell of combat is when he was a plumber. Look, I know that I poke a lot of fun at Markwayne Mullin and his braggart incompetence and his stupidity and his just being unqualified for his position as a United States Senator. And certainly, Senator is a powerful position of import with a lot of responsibility and the ability to impact your life through votes on legislation. But he's getting ready to step into, or he's being asked to step into, nominated to step into a very serious position, the Secretary of Homeland Security. A position that Donald Trump does not take seriously himself. This administration does not take seriously the prospect of homeland security. The prospect of keeping the homeland safe and secure, your family safe and secure. And I know I've poked a lot of fun at over just the recent days when he's doing Fox News interviews relative to Donald Trump's illegal, unnecessary, unconstitutional war in Iran. And he's talking about the smell of war. It smells like this or that, as though he has any knowledge of that whatsoever. And I've talked about his stolen valor. He never served, by the way, just as an aside to ensure you know the lay of the land here before I get into this. I had no idea until I read this Washington Post piece, the extent to which he has lied about his service to the country in the clandestine services, acting as though he's some kind of a James Bond character, a Jason Bourne character running around the globe doing secret missions. Very strange. Even a former governor of Oklahoma called him making fun of him, being, well, maybe he is a secret agent guy. It's crazy that Donald Trump has nominated Markwayne Mullin, the know-nothing Nepo baby. The only reason he has success in life is because his daddy worked hard, built a company, and then gave it to him. He inherited everything he has. He is a dipshit, to be sure, and now we're learning a liar about things that he wants to take credit for that other people actually do. The displays of bravery and nobility and valor that they have displayed, he wants so desperately, but just like in his life, he doesn't want to do the work to actually gain the reputational credit in his life bank account. Get a load of this headline from the Washington Post. DHS pick Mullin boasts of quote-unquote special assignments abroad, but offers few details. Ahead of the senator's confirmation hearing, his spokeswoman says he was doing mission work and participating in congressional trips. That's the story now, but over the course of many, many years, that has not been the story. That has not been his recollection of events. The same guy who acts like a big, mighty, tough guy who wants to fight witnesses in Senate congressional hearings, but also cowered on January 6th. Oh, what's going to happen? I'm going to die. While before January 6th, incited what took place, promoted what took place, encouraged what took place with his lies about the election. His conspiracies about election, his efforts to end democracy in the United States. But then when time came to face the mob of angry people he whipped into a frenzy, he hid, he cowered like a little weakling, much like his now colleague, Josh Hawley, who scurried away in the hallway. This is crazy. Get ready for some of this stuff. Senator Markwayne Mullin once pointed to experiences abroad to explain why he sprang into action to help Capitol Police respond to rioters breaching the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021, standing with officers who barricaded the door to the House chamber. How they say it, this is him springing into action. Markwayne Mullin, the brave MMA fighter, the warrior. No, the stolen valor coward who is now, if Republicans have anything to do with it, going to be the Secretary of Homeland Security. Quote, "I've been in those situations before overseas," the burly former college wrestler said on C-SPAN a few months later, "and I recognized that there was an issue really quick." When the host asked him to elaborate, though, Mullin demurred, "I don't want to get into that." Oh, you don't, Markwayne? Sorry, I don't want to besmirch the given name your parents saw fit to give you. Markwayne. Mullin, a Republican from Oklahoma, whom President Donald Trump nominated to replace Kristi Noem as head of the Department of Homeland Security, has repeated versions of the story on multiple occasions over the years in public interviews and private conversations with congressional colleagues. He also has talked about completing quote-unquote special assignments in other countries and intimately discussed the smell of war, though he has acknowledged, after the fact, later when pressed, come on, do your job, Washington Post. Though he has acknowledged he never served in the armed forces. During the Biden administration, Mullin drew public attention for 2 aborted attempts to travel to Afghanistan after the botched withdrawal of U.S. forces, saying he was trying to rescue stranded Americans. Yeah. Cool. Some fellow politicians and lawmakers who have heard his stories said they are puzzled by the claims, given that Mullin is not a military veteran and did not appear to hold a job in foreign affairs or work for a defense contractor. Before entering Congress in 2013, he served as a House member for a decade before entering the Senate. Mullin had taken over and expanded his father's plumbing business in Oklahoma. Maybe that's the valor that he displayed. Maybe that's the hairy situations in combat. Maybe that's where he's talking about the smell of combat is when he was a plumber. And that's not to besmirch plumbers. We need plumbers. It's a noble profession, but it's not combat. Mullin's office, in response to questions from the Washington Post, said this week that Mullin, before entering Congress, did quote-unquote mission work and mentored U.S. troops from a Christian perspective. The guy who, at the drop of a hat, wants to fight people in congressional hearings is mentoring people from a Christian perspective. Very nice. He also has traveled to Afghanistan, China, and other countries on standard congressional delegation trips, according to government records. At the confirmation hearing, Mullin could be asked to explain the extent of his national security experience, including the stories he has told about his activities overseas. In past statements, Mullin has said he would never disclose the nature of his work abroad, seeding interviews with vague mentions of his experiences. Quote, "There's another side of my bio that I don't ever want to talk about," he said in a 2023 podcast produced by Senate Republican Conference. "I had to go do something overseas, and when I went over there, I always let my beard grow out, because I'm a steely-eyed special operator like a Delta Force guy. You know, when you watch the spy movies in the Middle East where everything's sand, and you got these guys who are nondescript, and you don't know who they are, but they got a beard, so you assume they're CIA or some alphabet agency? Yeah, that was me." That's what he's trying to get you to believe. That is not the case. One, he's not smart enough to do that work. He is objectively a dumb shit, which is another reason why it is so dangerous that he is being named to be the Secretary of Homeland Security. Colleagues in Congress who pressed him to explain his work abroad were brushed aside, according to one person who served with him who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversations. In Oklahoma, at least one prominent figure was unaware of what Mullin was referring to. Quote, "I mean, maybe he is in fact a secret agent man. I don't know," said former Oklahoma Governor David Walters. Jason Dempsey, a retired Army officer and senior fellow at the Center for New American Security, said Mullin appears to be interested in fostering a perception that he has worked with the U.S. military on highly sensitive operations. He suggested the senator is seeking implied valor that would help burnish his reputation. That's the political way, the nice way, the not wanting to rock the boat way of saying stolen valor, implied valor. There's no credibility in this. In fact, it goes the opposite way. If I was here on my show constantly talking about having served in the Marine Corps as force recon or some kind of a special operator, I would be lying. I served in the Marine Corps. I was at 2nd Tanks and 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines. I wasn't a special operator. I wasn't a recon guy. I wasn't special forces in any way. But like many people who don't have the courage to actually serve, to actually go through the arduous training and the years of dedication to be an expert in this area, he just wants the credit without actually doing the work. So many people that you meet on the street who talk about having been in the military, they say, oh yeah, I was this or that, special thing, super secret, and it's not the case. And here we go with a guy who's going to be the Secretary of Homeland Security, stolen valor, Markwayne Mullin. He's leaving the door open for people to assume he's somehow been directly connected to military operations, Dempsey said. Earlier this month, speaking to Fox News about the war in Iran, Mullin described in vivid sensory terms what it is like to be in the theater of war. War is ugly. It smells bad. And if anybody's ever been there and been able to smell the war that's happened around you and taste it and feel it in your nostrils and hear it, it's something that you'll never forget. And it's ugly, he said. I guess I'll end with this question to Markwayne Mullin. How the fuck would you know, dude? How would you know, Mr. Plumber? How would you know, dipshit? You are a liar, a Nepo baby who inherited all that he has from his dad's hard work. And now you want to coattail people who have dedicated their lives to the prospect of American homeland security. A perfect pick for Donald Trump. A perfect pick for a 5-time draft-dodging physical weakling. What do you think out there? I invite you into the comment section. We can talk about this both on Facebook, where you should like and follow the Dollemore Daily there, and on YouTube, and you should be subscribed. I would appreciate it very much. I love and appreciate you very much. We will be following this. His hearing is today. I'll be off tomorrow, traveling back to Washington, D.C. So watch some old stuff. Share some of my old videos. Give the channel a boost in my stead. I would appreciate it. I don't see that happening, but, you know, maybe I'll be surprised.
You voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
I've been talking about this a lot and getting pushback from you in the audience. Not all of you, but there's a lot of people who do not believe that there are any faction of multi-time Trump voters who are going to turn their backs on Donald Trump, who are going to see the lay of the land, the where things are economically, and balance that against what promises were made during the campaign. And I'm, it's not another toot my horn moment, but it's starting to happen, and people are starting to wake up, not just to the fact that it's happening, but people are waking up to Donald Trump's lies and his inability to function as a political leader, as a president, as a manager of our economy, the thing that he should be so skilled at if you listen to him. Yesterday, this video from NBC News was posted, and it was interviews with people out at a gas station in Pennsylvania. And they talked to this woman, 3-time Trump voter. She voted for Donald Trump 2016, 2020, and 2024. And when asked about the current situation, whether she supports Donald Trump right now with the war in Iran causing gas prices to spike, after all, she's at a gas station, she says, well, she acknowledges that I guess I'm an idiot, I think she says. Apparently I'm an idiot for voting for him 3 times. And calls him a worthless pile of shit. It's like they were interviewing me at a gas station in Pennsylvania. Instead, it's this beautiful patriot right here.
Not everybody's excited about Trump here, and not everybody's planning to vote for Republicans in the midterms who supported Trump. Let's take a listen to one more woman who we spoke with. If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You are a worthless pile of shit.
And you voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
So not everyone is thrilled with President Trump,
Lots of personality, yes.
Right? Not everyone's thrilled with him. That was a voter who voted for him 3 times. She went on to talk about the gas prices. She went on to talk about the war, about not supporting the idea of us, basically going around the world.
People are waking up. Now, look, it doesn't speak highly of anybody who voted for Donald Trump 3 times, but the fact that they're waking up now is a good thing. We do need people to understand the error of their ways and turn away from the wickedness of voting for Donald Trump 3 times, of foisting this absolute chaos upon us as a people. And I, for one, welcome everybody into the fold of rationality and reasonableness, and she's among them. Because she gets it. That's a lady who gets it. Things are absolutely opposite of what Donald Trump said and promised during the campaign. No regime change wars. Well, here we are. And his regime change wars and chaos globally is absolutely causing gas prices to spike. I'm seeing, in an effort from Republicans right now, memes and tweets and posts on the internet all over the place about how gas is so expensive in California, it must be Gavin Newsom's fault. That the governor of a state has control over gas prices, when really, presidents rarely have any ability to control gas prices relative to bringing them down. But in Donald Trump's case, where he's causing the Strait of Hormuz to be in chaos and ships don't want to pass through for fear of being blown up by mines placed there by Iran, who is retaliating for our strikes against them, our illegal, unnecessary, unconstitutional war against Iran. It's not just this lady. There's another clip I have here of them talking to and it's not even NBC, it's just a local news outlet, I think, talking to a trucker who drives for a living, where the price of gas is the lifeblood of that industry, the lifeblood of how our economy runs, the price of gas. What you pay for groceries is directly impacted by how much it costs to get those groceries to the grocery store, from the farm to the grocery store, your products from the factory to the grocery store. That's done by fuel. It's done by train. It's done by semi-truck. Watch this guy, unhappy, and his life is being inextricably damaged because of the chaos put on him by Donald Trump.
At least once every day. If I'm on E, it's about 207 every day right now. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I went from 140 a day to 207 a day.
And speaking of promises, Kevin Hassett is Donald Trump's economic advisor this term. And he said something so disrespectful, but so illuminating relative to how Donald Trump and this administration feels about consumers, about us. They use words like that because you think, well, that's not me. I'm not a consumer. We're all consumers. We all fuel this economy. We control this economy by our spending. We are impacted by it is just the symbiotic relationship between us and the economy. And they don't give a shit about us. And if you think that's just hyperbole, if you think that's just Jesse being bombastic, listen to this clip. Watch Kevin Hassett say explicitly that if the war were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, but that's really the last of our concerns right now. Donald Trump's chaotic war in Iran, damaging the economy, is going to impact you, but you're not a very big concern for Donald Trump right now. Said explicitly, I paraphrase directly what Kevin Hassett said. Watch this and let this burrow into your brain. Never forget this. Share this with someone who is still MAGA in your life, because they are starting to flip.
But the fact is that the U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, if that continued, what we would have to do about that. But that's like really the last of our concerns right now, because we're very confident that this thing is going ahead of schedule.
Let me ask you, do you think this is hubris on their part, or is this kind of fecklessness and callousness brought about by hubris? because this is just given up the game. They've absolutely lost the plot relative to what is going to connect with the American voter. You can't forever say things are great, prices are low when they're not. And then when prices do start going absolutely bananas because of an external force, in this case, the decision to attack Iran, say, well, the prices are going to come down. Eventually, they're going to come down. This is a small price to pay. The billionaire and multimillionaire class tells you. These people are out of touch. One, this is more evidence of not having wildly wealthy people in Congress as just the norm. Regular folks need to run for Congress. If you've ever thought about, I should run for Congress, I maybe start at city council or county commissioner, start at the local level, but we need regular people to run for office. The millionaires and the multimillionaires and the billionaires don't give a shit about your life, about how little price fluctuations, how they impact you, how they impact normal people, because they don't feel that pain. If gas goes up $3 a gallon, it's not there yet. Could, I guess. But that doesn't impact Kevin Hassett. It certainly doesn't impact Donald Trump. It doesn't impact even one of the poorer members of his cabinet, Scott Bessent, who's only worth $600 million. But it does impact families. It does impact whether people decide which medicines they can't take or which medicines they can take less of. Brittany Page did a video today about this very thing that you really should watch, that people are making the decision between life-altering items like medication or food because of the price of gas, because of the economy being in shambles right now. And this is just more evidence that the Trump administration doesn't care, and the decisions they make that will impact the economy, the consumer, the Americans, aren't brought into the equation because we're not important to them. We're not important to Donald Trump. His ballroom is, though. His ballroom is. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you. I'll link to Brittany's video, by the way. It's a good one. You should check it out. What do you think? Comment below in the comment section. If you're on Facebook, like and follow the Facebook page. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. We're still battling an algorithmic sabotage, I guess, by YouTube. And I would appreciate all the help I can get if you feel the spirit move you.
But what he didn't say is they pay over 50% of all the taxes paid in this country, and that working class people don't pay nearly as much as they do.
I'm not going to stop with this talk. We're going to still talk about this millionaire, billionaire class thing. For so long, the Republican Party has been beholden to the wealthy class in our country. Something that Brittany and I talk about on the podcast a lot is class solidarity. It's something that we really should be fostering more of. It should be something we focus more on, is class solidarity. That the uber wealthy in our country do not have our best interest at heart. The Jeff Bezoses, the Elon Musks, the Bill Gateses, the Donald Trumps, name one of Donald Trump's cabinet members. These people, they don't live like us. They don't have the same stressors as us. They don't have the same challenges as us. When prices fluctuate even a lot, like a 25% tariff, it doesn't impact rich people. They can weather that storm. But when you make $30,000, $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year, little price fluctuations as a matter of percentage to your income, they make a big difference. And I want to play these two clips for you. One is a Republican, Virginia Fox. She's the one that when somebody asked about the stolen election lies or Donald Trump attempting to overthrow the United States government and the insurrection, she was like, shut up. And she told some reporter to shut up, in true spirit of protecting and supporting the Constitution and people's free speech. That's the lady I'm talking about. And she is bemoaning trying to tax rich people at a higher percentage than they currently are to put them in a situation to pay a greater percentage of their income, more aligned of an effective tax rate that someone who's a secretary or a service worker would pay. Warren Buffett for many years has said it is absolutely immoral and unfair that he pays an effective tax rate that is lower than his employees because of all of the myriad tax shelter, tax evasion techniques that are legal, loopholes that are legal under the law. Jeff Bezos pays very little tax. Elon Musk, there have been years he didn't pay any tax. Donald Trump has avoided taxes for many, many years. And you don't get to avoid tax. I don't get to avoid tax. Regular people don't get to do that. Watch this clip from Virginia Fox before I continue to ramble on and on and on. We'll talk a little bit about her net worth. Spoiler alert, it's between $4 and $10 million. So know that when you're watching her absolutely stand up for the oppressed class that is the millionaire and billionaire in the United States.
I wasn't going to say anything during 1 minute today, but I really get irritated when people stand up on this floor and tell half-truths to the American people. One of our colleagues just talked about the fact that wealthy people pay small percentages of their income on taxes. But what he didn't say is they pay over 50% of all the taxes paid in this country, and that working class people don't pay nearly as much as they do. So don't buy the empty rhetoric of congressional Democrats.
Look, Virginia, sister, I know math is hard. I know it's very difficult. Yes, rich people as a dollar number pay more taxes than I do, certainly, because they have more money. But we're talking about percentages. If I'm paying 30% of my of what I earn in taxes, and they're paying 15%, yeah, it's more money that they're paying in, but they should be paying as a percentage the same amount, the same percentage. Math is hard. I know, absolutely. And I have her financial disclosure form here from 2023, and there are many, many, many accounts in here that total all of her assets between $3,355,037 and $10,450,000. So it should tell you everything that you want or need to know about where her loyalties lie. And they don't lie with her constituency in, I believe, North Carolina, unless her constituency is made up of 100% millionaires and billionaires. It doesn't lie with regular folks. It's not looking out for the benefit of the single moms and the small growing families. It's with people who have already made it. It's with people who have benefited from all that America has given them, and luck, for that matter. Now, Jim McGovern is a congressman from Massachusetts, and he directly refuted this almost in real time on the House floor. And you have to watch this. And again, let this burrow in. Let this be a mantra for you about class solidarity.
And I heard the gentlelady's 1 minute speech before we got into this debate, in which she kind of defended the tax cuts for the rich and basically said we have a spending problem in this country. Okay, we have a spending problem. We're spending $1 billion a day on a reckless, illegal war in Iran, and nobody on the other side seems to give a damn about that. We don't have money to help make sure that we can lower energy costs for senior citizens. We don't have money to make sure our kids get nutritious breakfasts and lunches in schools. We don't have money for anything, child care, elder care, for our veterans, for our health care in general. We're told we don't have the money. But no debate, no concern about $1 billion a day on Iran. Come on. I mean, enough is enough. The focus of Congress, the focus of government should be about helping people, not screwing them over, not hurting them.
Of all the things to focus on, we should not be trying to protect the oppressed rich class in this country while spending $1 billion a day on this war. This unnecessary, illegal, unconstitutional war. Now they're begging for more money for. They want to take out of your pocket to pay for Donald Trump's mistakes. Then where's Virginia Fox in that? The party, the family values party that doesn't want to do anything for working families. I guess unless you're rich, then they'll stand up for you. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you. Not if you're rich. I want to hear from the working people in my audience. If you're on YouTube, you can comment below. If you're on Facebook, obviously you can also comment below. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, that you like and follow the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily. We are just inching toward literally just a couple of thousand away from 100,000 followers. I just started this Facebook page just a few months ago, and you guys have really showed up. I appreciate it very much. We are trying to get the truth out through native content on Facebook, and that is why that is important, because if you just share a link, when you share a link on your Facebook page, nobody sees it. When you share a video that's on Facebook, Zuckerberg shares it to everybody. So that's why we're doing that, and I would appreciate you sharing these videos there. Like and follow, comment below, engage with the content.
The island is not, in my opinion, boots on the ground in combat circumstances.
It is a territory. It is Iran.
Facility.
All right, let's turn our attention to the Iran war. This has been an absolute mind bender. I'm talking loudly in a hotel room because that's just my voice, but I don't want to be screaming the F word inside my hotel room and have people wonder what's going on in here. Donald Trump has no justification for the war. Donald Trump has let's say this. Donald Trump has multiple justifications. None of them align, and they're all lies. Donald Trump is saying that the war is over, yet still begging for help. Why would he need help from other countries to clean up the mess that he's made if the war is already over? But the war is not over, but it's going to last a day, or it was over a week ago, but maybe it's going to last for another month or months. Who knows? It's all over the map. Just like with anything with Donald Trump, it's just you tell one person one thing, you tell another person one thing, and then when you're asked about it, you say, well, it's this, or it was the other answer. It's lies and disinformation. And one of the other things that they are trying to say right now is that there's not going to be boots on the ground. No. This isn't a war, but it is a war. Donald Trump says it's a war. Pete Hegseth says, you get the picture. It's just all over the place. Well, right now, the topic du jour, the controversy du jour for the administration is whether or not they're going to send actual troops, boots on the ground, a ground invasion, which would spell a quagmire. It would spell another Iraq kind of a situation where we're never going to be able to get out of there. And it's a certainty that we're sending troops. Right now, the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, my former home, not a 2MEF, but I was with 2nd Marine Division. They're being deployed there. Boots on the ground. But if you'd listen to Pete Sessions, a Republican congressman who never served, by the way, no military experience, by the way, he's explaining this away as, no, this isn't boots on the ground, even though they're going to be on the ground in Iran. But it's not boots on the ground. It's not a ground invasion because it's only Karg Island, which is an island. It's like saying that if a nation attacked Catalina off the coast here, I'm in Orange County right now, off the coast of Orange County, off the coast of Southern California, that's not America, that's not California, that's Catalina. It's like saying Manhattan. If a foreign power came in and attacked Manhattan because it's an island, well, that's not really New York, that's not really the United States because it's Manhattan, it's an island. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it would be, I'll give you one more. It would be like somebody attacking Hawaii and saying, well, that's not America because that's out in the water. It's just absolutely nonsense. Now, one of the reasons we're going to be attacking Karg Island is the fact that its proximity to offshore oil drilling. It will be advantageous for Donald Trump because the clear objective of many of these military operations, maybe not the full objective, but certainly plays a large role, is stealing global oil. It's exactly what we did in Venezuela under the guise of some Department of Justice operation to arrest their president for owning guns, I guess. It's what he wants to do, is take the oil. I don't I guess Cuba might be just a feather in his cap because it's not a lot of oil reserves when he takes Cuba, as he dementedly said in his lunatic fashion the other day. But watch Pete, I know I'm rambling here. Watch Pete Sessions here talk about this not being boots on the ground because it's Carg Island.
The president is moving about 2,500 Marines to the region. Are you okay with putting those troops on the ground?
I actually spoke to some media last night, and I indicated that I believe that what these 2,500 Marines of the Marine Expeditionary Force would be to probably secure the island. The island is not, in my opinion, boots on the ground in combat circumstances.
It is a territory. It is Iran.
Facility. Well, I'm not going to argue that point. As a matter of fact, you're right. But what I would say is the president has chosen not to obliterate the ability that to get oil, and I think he wants to go secure that to make sure the Iranians don't do themselves in. So I think it's probably wisdom. Is that boots on the ground? No, not like inside Iran where they're in the cities, to where we go through circumstances that we've had in the past of large areas of population, combatants against us, and it is a mess. I am against what I call the mess, moving people, Marines, snipers into population areas.
That's just moving the goalposts to a degree that you rarely see. It's almost like good job, sir. You made the most dipshit argument I've ever heard, and we need to give you an honor. We need to give you a prize. Let's craft a statue for moron Pete Sessions, the non-military military expert about what is and is not boots on the ground. I believe that what these 2,500 United States Marines would be is to secure the island. That's what you do with boots on the ground. You secure, you occupy, you invade. The island is not, in my opinion, my non-military experience opinion, boots on the ground in combat circumstances. It's not like inside Iran cities. So if they're not in the cities of Iran, they're just on the territory of Iran. An island, it's not boots on the ground. And you might say, well, look, he's just a moron. That's just some nobody congressman who doesn't have any military experience at all. It's just one guy. Well, you'd be wrong. It's not just one guy. Lindsey Graham, who is the chief war drum banger for Donald Trump, an absolute eunuch for Donald Trump, an unregistered foreign agent for the nation of Israel. Lindsey Graham is saying the same kind of thing about it not being boots on the ground. End this now, Donald Trump. Take Carg Island. Take it. It's just encouraging the audience of one, the dear leader, to be the worst version of a U.S. president that we've ever had.
Any longer than he has to, and I don't think it's going to be much longer.
Yeah. No, we're not going to invade Iran. There's no reason to. We're going to destroy their ability to hurt us, have a nuclear weapon, build missiles to hit America, and terrorize the region. Carg Island, 90% of their income comes from oil and gas revenue. 100% of that revenue generating capabilities on a single island. Mr. President, take Carg Island. This war is over.
Taking Carg Island is invading Iran, you absolute maniac, you dangerous, drunken moron. The people of America, they're hoping against hope and relying on the fact that they believe Americans don't understand world geography. And look, you might not know Carg Island. I don't know a ton about this region, but I know well enough to know that when you have a territory, when you have a part of your country that isn't on the mainland but is nearby, it's still governed by the government of Iran. This is Iran. Hawaii is the United States. Puerto Rico is the United States. Guam is the United States. The U.S. Virgin Islands, they are the United States. There are islands off the coast of California. There are islands off the coast of Virginia and Maryland and South Carolina and North Carolina. They're just as much American as anything. And if a country came and invaded them and put boots on the ground, we would see it as a military invasion, as a provocation to war. It's the same thing. And they're hoping that they're going to get away with this shit because they're going on the news and talking to their low information MAGA audience that doesn't care about what the facts are, I guess. They're liars. Each and every one of them, that every step of the way during this illegal, unnecessary, unconstitutional war in Iran they're just justifying what Donald Trump does. Lying about whether it's a war, lying about whether the war's over, and now lying about the escalation of the war to put American lives, boots on the ground, thousands of Americans that could be droned out of existence, killed, sacrificed for Donald Trump's bloodlust, oil lust, power lust, legacy lust. None of it's worth it. None of it's legal, even. And unfortunately, we have a Republican Party that has ceded all authority to Donald Trump. Even their own co-equal branch power of Congress, they don't care. Just let Donald Trump make all the decisions. We're weak. We'd rather sit here and worship him, sing our worship songs with our hands in the air, doing our prayers to the dear leader. It's all gross. It's all dangerous. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video. Again, if you're on Facebook, go like and follow the page. We're almost to 100,000. I would appreciate your help there. Make sure you're subscribed and you engage with the content. We're still in a battle against the algorithms on YouTube. I don't know what's going on, but we're slowly, it looks like, maybe turning it around. And with your help, we can make that happen faster.
President Trump, you're the right man at the right time. God bless you for taking decisive action. And can you imagine what the world would be like if Kamala Harris had won?
I'm going to riff off this. I just, in a previous topic, I called Lindsey Graham an unregistered foreign agent of Israel and a eunuch for Donald Trump, I think is the word that I used. If you don't know, in ancient history, a eunuch was someone who guarded the emperor's harem of women, and they would cut his dick and balls off so he wasn't a threat. Or cut his genitals off so he wasn't a threat to the women or whatever. And they were often high-level political advisors, too. And that's what Lindsey Graham is. He's just a eunuch for Donald Trump. He's just a servant to Donald Trump. But he's also dangerously representing the interest of a foreign nation in Israel every time he opens up his drunken mouth. And yesterday on Fox News, I watched a couple of clips of him on Hannity just being both of these things in tandem with one another. I guess we'll start with the unregistered foreign agent. When all of this is said and done, I think there need to be investigations done. And I'm not being facetious here and just hurling names and invectives at somebody. There needs to be an investigation of Lindsey Graham to see exactly where his allegiances lie and what work he does for the nation of Israel. Because let me tell you, he's not representing South Carolina. He's not doing the work of the people of South Carolina. He's doing the work of the people of Israel. So let me just start with a clip of him talking to Hannity about Israel and what we owe Israel. And we're safer because of Israel, just heaping praise upon Benjamin Netanyahu and the conductor of a genocide against the Palestinian people. 70,000 Palestinians dead, tens of thousands of women and children murdered, bombed out of existence, targeted in their hospitals and their schools and their daycares and their mosques by Israel. And Lindsey Graham, he couldn't be even happy. There's no way for him to be happier about that. Watch this.
Well, that's a bunch of BS. If it weren't for Israel, we'd be less safe. Israel has no choice to stop radical Islam from destroying it. I hope the American people understand we have no choice. You may be tired of fighting them, but they're not tired of fighting you. The only reason they haven't killed more Americans than they have, radical Islam, is we stop them before they get here. If they had weapons-grade material, they would turn it into a bomb, And if they had a bomb, they would use it because they're religious Nazis. Those who got Hitler wrong, you're doing the same thing in 2026. Your head in the sand approach to who the Ayatollah is and who this regime is could kill millions of people.
Iranians are religious Nazis? We're safer because of Israel? Right now, there are threats of sleeper cells, terrorist sleeper cells that Donald Trump has admitted he knows where they are, and he's keeping an eye on them. He's not arresting them, apparently. But that's happening now because of Donald Trump's decision, which was predicated by, pushed by Israel. We are not safer because of Israel. We're more dangerous. We're poorer because of Israel and the billions of dollars we give them every single year in foreign aid. A developed nation that has the money to pay for all kinds of social benefits for their citizens that we don't get in the United States, yet we hand over money, hand over fist to them. Who does he represent? Which nation does he represent? This interview went on, and it is amazing the depths to which the Republican Party has sunk, just relative to what reality is. Because he's on the screen talking about the glory of Donald Trump's war. It's not a war, but it is a war. Saying, can you imagine what the world would be like if Kamala Harris was president? While he's next to, it's a split screen of him with missiles and artillery being fired into the air, all-out war and assault on humanity, asking the question, can you imagine what it would be like if Kamala Harris was president?
President Trump, you're the right man at the right time. God bless you for taking decisive action. And can you imagine what the world would be like if Kamala Harris had won? So we got to get this right, and we're very close to getting it right.
We don't have to imagine what it would be like if Kamala Harris was president based on what your assertions are, Lindsey Graham. We can just watch the TV and see what it's like right now. Donald Trump promised no new regime change wars. Yet here we are. Yet here we are, Venezuela attacked. Nigeria has been attacked. Syria has been attacked. Iran is under full assault. We're bombing girls' schools. We are committing war crimes on a global stage. Yet you have the gall to say, can you imagine what it would be like if Kamala Harris? Yeah, it would be peaceful. Gas wouldn't be exorbitantly expensive. The economy would be on the rise, just as it was when Joe Biden left. The recovery from COVID would be continuing. People would be happy and healthy and safe. Renee Good would be alive. Alex Preddy would be alive, not executed in the streets by Donald Trump's masked secret police force. Yeah, I can imagine what it would be like if Kamala Harris were president. I wish she had won. But alas, we need to deal with reality on reality's terms, unlike Republicans. Because in this next clip, well, that was a hell of a segue for myself. Lindsey Graham is asserting that Donald Trump has saved the world. He switched into eunuch mode here, talking about Donald Trump saving the planet while missiles fire and hundreds of girls are dead, or almost 200 girls are dead in an Iranian girls' school because we targeted them with a Tomahawk missile. Watch this. Eunuch for Donald Trump.
He saved the world from a nuclear-armed Ayatollah. Nobody will say this in the mainstream media because it justifies what President Trump did. Nobody in the mainstream media will tell you after Midnight Hammer, when we blew up all the enrichment facilities, they went back at it again, thus epic fury. What Witkoff said on your show changes everything. To my friends at the White House, every American should know the facts. You can have your opinion about President Trump all you want. If he had not acted, within 2 weeks, they would have had enough weapons material to make 10 bombs. Donald Trump acted decisively. God bless the fact that he did. If he had failed to act, we'd all be living with a Ayatollah still alive, enough weapon-grade material to make 10 bombs. That's what's at stake here. The liberals literally do want Trump to fail They fear him more than they fear the Ayatollah with a nuclear weapon. This is a sick time in which we live. We have to push through this. Mr. President, finish the job. We're very, very close. And if we do this right, peace breaks out.
Nobody will say it in the mainstream media, Lindsey Graham, because it's not true. That's why. Reporting isn't being done about it is because it's untrue. You're a liar and a propagandist and a eunuch, a servant, a court jester for Donald Trump. One of the worst of the worst. I would love to know what dirt Donald Trump has on Lindsey Graham. It's not like he had a ton of integrity before. He's always been this guy, beating the wars of drum for sure, or beating the drums of war, excuse me, what the hell? Beating the war of drum. He's always been this guy, most certainly, but something happened. He used to proclaim himself to be the best friend of John McCain and has absolutely betrayed that friendship and that relationship with the McCain family. There is something that Donald Trump has on Lindsey Graham, and I don't know if it's because he's gay and he's too embarrassed to just be who he is. I don't know. Who knows? But it makes us all less safe. It makes the people of South Carolina less represented because the two clowns they have in the United States Senate, shockingly enough, two dudes who are both rumored to be closeted gay men who can't just live their life freely, proudly, happily, being who they are. They have to suppress themselves, repress themselves. Rumored, allegedly, I don't know. Just a wild situation with Lindsey Graham especially, being the unregistered foreign agent and eunuch for Donald Trump. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it in the comments below. You can argue about the assertions that I've made concerning the rumors about these two people. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Facebook, like and follow the Facebook page, comment there. YouTube, subscribe and comment there. And I will see you next time. I'm going to be gone tomorrow. I've said this at the beginning of the show. I'll throw it in here now, too. I'll be gone tomorrow, traveling all day back to Washington, D.C., where I will be back home, back in the comfortable surrounds of my normal studio. Thanks for joining me on this trip.
I pray that God kills him. Ultimately, that means killing his heart and raising him up to new life in Christ. That's the first thing.
We want him crucified with Christ.
That's exactly right.
If you watch my content for any amount of time at all, it's very likely you've heard me talk about white Christian nationalism, white Christian nationalism. It's all an unholy amalgam of the same thing. I've talked about the Constitution hundreds, if not thousands of times, and the constitutional prohibition against the establishment of a state religion. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. That is the First Amendment of the Constitution, among other things about free speech and the right to peaceably assemble and redress your grievances. But it's the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution. And right now, and for years, for decades, there's been a movement to supplant our Constitution and impose their particular flavor of Christianity on the rest of us, to impose their version of what is moral and what is not on you, on me, to force us to live their way. The Republican Party is the most effective white supremacy operation on the planet, and they are also just like the Taliban. They like to talk about these religious radicals and these fundamentalists, but it's who they are. And this first clip, I'm going to show you the hypocrisy, the rainbow of hypocrisy from this Republican Party and this particular version of Christian nationalism, this particular version of Christian nationalism, of their version of Christianity. But this guy used to work for Donald Trump in the administration. His name is William Wolf. He was a director at the Department of State and a deputy assistant secretary of defense at the Pentagon. And this is him telling you, yes, we do intend to impose our morality on you, to force you to live the way we want you to.
We should not blink. We should not hesitate to tell people, not because we are so wise, not because we made the rules of the world. We didn't. We humbly submit to how God made the rules of the world, and we say this is how we should order our lives together. And frankly, yes, We are going to impose it upon you. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but this is good and right and just if it lines up with God's standards. And I am going to enforce my morality on you in as much as our morality is God's morality. And you should always check yourselves. Again, I'm not trying to puff you up. Check yourself. Do I believe what God believes? Am I defending what God says is good? And if it is, then you should have the courage to say, this is how we're going to run our town. This is how we're going to run our county. This is how we're going to run our state. And this is how we should run the United States of America, by legislating the morality that we can find in the Bible.
Plainly stated, flatly stated. That's what they want to do. That's what they intend to do. If you're a Catholic, they don't care. If you have certain religious traditions and religious festivals, you won't be able to practice those in the America they see to form. Douglas Wilson has said as much recently. I'm not going to play that clip. I played a clip similar to that, but he's also made the same statement again, doubling down on that. If you're a Muslim, you're shit out of luck. If you're a Jew, you're shit out of luck. If you're an atheist or an agnostic, if you're a nun, N-O-N-E, you're shit out of luck. You will live the way they say you live. You will be, the government will be run. It'll be like The Handmaid's Tale. I know that gets itchy nose right now. I know that gets talked about a lot, and people say, "Oh, they push back." Well, that's just hyperbole. That's extreme. That's not in the cards for the United States. The fuck, it's not. That's what they want in America. But they don't want to follow all of the Bible. In fact, this next one, this is Michael Cloud, a congressman who's on a religious program saying, well, actually, yeah, we want to impose our morality. He believes in the William Wolfe idea, but all of the other stuff in the Bible that talks about feeding the poor and healing the sick and taking care of people, not that stuff. Just like their constitutions and just like their Bible, they cherry pick the things that they want. So it's not going to be a Christian nation and run by the rules relative to the charity aspect of it, relative to the humanity aspect of it. It's only the oppression and the repression aspects that they're going to force on you.
I've been in a number of these hearings, and you often see Matthew 25 thrown about, never in context. Sometimes it seems to be the only, I would say, scripture, but it's not even a full scripture, the only half scripture that the left would seem to know. And they use it to justify all kinds of spending. And I thought it was important to go through and just kind of put this in context about what was really being talked about in that chapter and who Christ was talking to. He was talking to his disciples, and it was actually a private meeting with his disciples. It wasn't even one of his open air arena speeches, so to speak. And so he was talking to us about what we should be doing, how we should be taking care of our neighbors and doing those different kind of things. And so many times this gets used to justify every sort of social program that the government is doing. And we know in Corinthians it talks about that charity is something that's given of a free will and not by compulsion. And taxes certainly are by compulsion. And so, we believe in generosity. Certainly we should be giving, taking care of our neighbor. That should be an extension of who we are. But we're almost $40 trillion in debt. And so we've got to prioritize, and the federal government has a specific constitutional duty and priority. And Scripture talks about the role of what a federal government's supposed to be doing, or a government's supposed to be doing. It's a different role than the family. It's a different role than the church in the community. And so, it's important that we kind of put all these things in context as we begin to weigh Scripture, especially in the context of government policy.
Oh, is that right, Michael? Is that right? The teachings of Jesus are directed only at the Christians in the Bible. That was just for then. We're not going to, all that other stuff, that's not for how to run government, except that's how you want to run government. You want this to be a Christian nation with laws based on Christianity in the Bible. Before Charlie Kirk was shot, he used to run around talking about how the Constitution was directly written based on Deuteronomy. These people are liars. There's a guy out there, David Barton, who acts like he's a constitutional scholar and a historian, and he's just another liar telling these insane stories about how the Bible was formed and the founding fathers wanted this to be a Christian nation, even though we have a prohibition against it in the Constitution. The word God, the word Jesus are not mentioned anywhere in the Constitution. Anywhere in our founding governing document. And then we have this. This is Pete Hegseth's pastor. A man who is the underling of Douglas Wilson, a man who doesn't want women to have the right to vote, who doesn't believe Catholics should be able to practice their faith in this country, who certainly doesn't believe Muslims shouldn't even be allowed to immigrate and be in the country. If you're a Muslim, if you're a Hindu, you don't get to even hold office. You don't get citizenship. You don't get to be a full practicing American if you are a different faith than him. And this guy, Brooks Pottinger, I think that's how to say his name, Pete Hegseth's pastor, associate pastor under Douglas Wilson, is praying for the death of James Talarico in Texas. I pray that God kills him, he says. This is their Christian nationalism. Watch this.
Public enemies, these are the orcs at the gate. You are not called to love the barbarian horde that is planning to break into your city and, pillage, plunder, rape, and mutilate you and your people. Right. You don't love that horde. That is your enemy. And you pray. This is where you have imprecatory psalms. This is where you pray strongly. The psalmist is not shy. God, destroy them. Make them as dung on the ground. Right? So, but Madison and I were talking about that. And so I say, even in the debate, I think you might have seen it, but that I had on campus the other day, I pray that God kills him. Ultimately, that means killing his heart and raising him up to new life in Christ. That's the first thing.
We want him crucified with Christ.
That's exactly right.
I want him to be, I think, Saul of Tarsus, Talarico of Tarsus.
Yes,
That's what I want. Who would say, I was holding the garments while they stoned Stephen, and now I'm that's what we want.
Yes, we want death and new life, right? And if it would not be within God's will to do so, stop him by any means necessary, oh God.
I pray that God kills him, and then a bunch of softening language, and then at the end, stop him by any means necessary. Just like Jesus would do. These people are violent, and they will impose their will and worldview through violence. Just like, what are some other religious governmental entities that would do the same? I always get pushback when I compare the Republican Party to the Taliban, but I don't see any difference. I think the first time I ever wrote on Substack was about this very thing. If I remember, I doubt I will, but if I remember, I'll put that in the description below. You can just go find my Substack, Jesse Dollemore Substack, and find it. I make a pretty salient, inarguable case that is what it is. And this is what we fight against every day. If we want to save our nation, we will support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And in this case, these pastors of Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, are that domestic threat to the Constitution, that domestic enemy of the Constitution. They want to throw the whole thing out and let their interpretation of the Bible rule the country, control you and your life and your family and your right to health care and your right to government assistance. And Donald Trump supports these people. The non-believer, multi-time philanderer, Donald Trump. The guy who raw dogs porn stars and then pays them to keep their mouths shut, Donald Trump, is there, I guess, second in command to Jesus. Some would say on top. Anyway, what do you think? I hope if there's some of you out there, and I'd love to hear from you, I hope that if you've in the past thought that I was exaggerating about this and just being bombastic and just even you're just being a religious bigot about these people. If that's something you thought, I hope that you're waking up. I hope you're realizing that, oh shit, yeah, this is serious. These people, not only this is what they intend to do, they're gaining power and influence in this government. People are listening to them. Former administration officials are talking like this. That, yeah, we're here to impose our will on you. We're here to impose our warped and twisted morality on you. I hope you're waking up. I'd love to hear from you. Again, comment below on YouTube, comment below on Facebook. We can have a conversation there, and I will see you next time. Again, tomorrow I'll be off. I'll be traveling all day back to Washington, D.C. I'll see you next time. Until then, be genuine and take care of one another.